Good morning, sports fans. Welcome to another edition of the Sports Memo Wager Talk Show Family Affair. We're making sports betting history as never before on any panel has there been 4 family members. I'm honored to be here with such an esteemed panel. Let me bring them on. Let me go around the horn. The First Lady of Las Vegas, Dionne D'Amico, Jeff Michaels, and Ralph Michaels. You know how we start every show? I've got to give individual greetings. Good morning, Dionne. How are you today?
Good morning. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. Always a good morning. Always a good Friday when I get to wake up with Ralph, Jeff, and you. Jeff Michaels, how are you today, sir?
Good. Yeah, I can never complain about a Friday morning talking some football, looking forward to the weekend action. So excited as always.
And my esteemed friend, Ralph. Ralph, how you doing today on this Friday morning?
Doing great. I want to mention, I got a big card today, but if you're interested in a low budget thing, my football totals on a 14-1 run, 93.3%. I have a game that was close to 5%. I loaded it on Monday, so it's still only $9 if you head to my homepage. It's a college football game for this evening.
Always great stuff from Ralph. Plus, he's got some other things he's going to be telling you about during the show. Guys, before we get into anything, today is Veterans Day. And to all those who unselfishly and courageously serve this country so the rest of us can walk and speak freely, we owe you a debt we can never repay. And you should be celebrated every day of the year, but today is your day. Thank you. God bless you. God bless America. Yes, sir.
No, I was just agreeing with you. Sorry.
Thank you. No, thank you. You know, yesterday was Ralph and Jeff. Dionne and I announced yesterday. Yesterday is was the celebration birthday of the United States Marine Corps. We are the proud parent of the United States Marine, and you know, I do feel that we should, all of us, get to walk and speak freely. So thank you. Let me just say that. Sports fans, hit that subscribe button because you don't want to miss any of Sports Memo TV's amazing content. We've got a couple of discounts. And then we're going to go right into some free winners for you. The customer appreciation at Sports Memo Wager Talk, unrivaled. We know that saving your money is just as good as making your money. Couple of quick things we'd like to tell you about. Over at Sports Memo, the $2 Tuesday feature cappers, Ross Benjamin and Tim Michael, their $2 Tuesday 5% plays are still available after the show. Go to Sports Memo. Ross and Tim are doing great jobs over at Sports Memo. They're on the leaderboards, $2 a piece. And both if I'm not mistaken, here at Sports Memo and at Wager Talk. A 30-day college football or NFL package, only $99. Use code FBALL99. Now, guys, I will tell you, this is an amazing package. Whether you bet $20 parlays, $20,000 a game, this investment will pay for itself in no time. We've got a wonderful thing at Sports Memo and Wager Talk. It just astounds me. You know, at the beginning of every season, they want to make sure you can maximize your profits, minimize any expenditures. 7 days college basketball, only $49, both at Sports Memo and Wager Talk. And guys, number 1 and number 2 in a couple of different categories at NBA. Thank you to our Detroit crew over at Sports Memo. They allowed me to do a 7-day NBA package, just $49. Use code COURT7 upon checkout. Real quick, my friends, every successful sports bettor and sports handicapper I know use the Gold Sheet, the most respected and the oldest betting publication. After the show, www.goldsheet.com. Use what the pros use. Guys, without any further ado, you know, the Underdog Moneyline Parlay has become very popular. And last week, we were just a scooch away, and we're going to get them this week. And I'm putting a couple of hundred on this one this week. So without any further ado, our Underdog Moneyline Parlay, let's kick it off. The one and only Ralph Michaels, take it away.
Well, you know, there's times that you are on a team and you have to admit you were dead wrong. I was on Clemson last week at Notre Dame, figuring their defense can shut down the Notre Dame rush attack. And what happened? Well, they allowed 263 yards, and Notre Dame did exactly what they wanted. So does that mean bubble burst? Well, if you watch Bet On Me each week, I do a T&A segment, Trends and Angles, and Jeff's been getting involved a few weeks. And Jeff had this one, which I'm going to mention to you. It's the way you build the system. When you have an AP top 5 team off a loss since 2010, those teams are 39.3%. So that's an over 60% fade. If they gained under 300 yards and they're a favorite of 7 or more this week, like Clemson is, those teams have covered 26.3% of the time. So that's a 74% fade. Why am I using Louisville here? Well, simply I think Louisville can win this game outright. Obviously, I like them plus the 7 as well. You look at Clemson's defense, which I thought was one of the best D lines in the country, but 2 of their last 3 games, they allowed 206 yards rushing to Florida State, 263 to Notre Dame, and they allowed 6.1 and 5.6 yards per carry. Their last 4 games, they're only plus 28 yards per game. And you look how fortunate they were. 6-point win against Syracuse, 6-point win against Florida State, 6-point win against Wake Forest. They've been close. Well, what do we have for Louisville? We have a running team that averages over 200 yards per game, 5 yards per carry. We have a dynamic dual-threat quarterback in Malik Cunningham, which takes one defender away from the Clemson's defense having to spy him. But then I also look at DJ, or if Cade comes in and replaces him like he has in a couple games, this O-line has allowed 3, 2, 3, 2, and 4. That is a total of 14 sacks the last 5 games. Guess who's number 1 in the country in sacks? That would be Louisville. The Cardinals D can get on to Clemson. They cover, yes, I'm using it as a play, and hopefully they pull the outright upset here for a big Moneyline parlay. We've had enough 3-1s, guys. We need the 4-0 to get over the top.
Great stuff from Ralph Michaels, guys. I'm betting this week, and you just don't go anywhere. We got 3 more Underdog Moneyline parlay plays. And once again, if you miss any portion of the show, we'll run it down at the end of the show. Let's keep this Underdog Moneyline parlay train rolling. Jeff Michaels, it's all you.
Yeah, thanks, Joe. I believe last week, like my dad said, you put it out there and you're wrong, you take it. Man, last week, I believe I was the leg on that Syracuse play last week. But this week, I'm liking what I'm looking at, and I'm feeling confident in this Kansas team this week. I know they've lost a couple games in the last 4. They lost 3 out of the last 4, but they beat Oklahoma State last week, and they looked like they could be potentially bouncing back to the offense that we saw at the beginning of the year. Texas Tech is a 4-5 team. They're a 4.5 point favorite, I believe. Against this Kansas team that's 6-3. I don't really understand the line. Again, as my dad said, I'm using this one as a play too with the points, but they lost 3 straight games and they turned it around against an Oklahoma State team that's been relatively impressive this year. Not to mention, even with the 3 losses, this Kansas team still has a lot to play for. They very well could be in a Big 12 championship game, and 2 of their last 3 games on the season are against 2 of the 3 teams that are standing in their way between them and TCU, closing out with games against Texas and Kansas State in the last 3, along with Baylor, who plays Kansas State this week. So they're putting up 38 points per game on the year still, even after a couple rough games, averaging 435 yards per game. And they're actually playing better on the road this season. And you look at the 5 games that these teams have both played, or the 5 opponents, I should say, Kansas's offense has been noticeably better. They're putting up almost 40 points per game against the 5 common opponents, whereas Texas Tech is averaging barely over 30. I really don't understand why Tech would be the favorite in this game with that straight up record and the way that they've been playing recently. I like Kansas to continue what they did last week and maybe get back on the stretch they were at the beginning of the season and potentially make a run for a Big 12 championship game.
Great stuff from Jeff Michaels. Guys, I'm going to be batting third this week on the Underdog Moneyline parlay segment. So let me take this away. My friends, it's not an often occurrence that a team gets a second chance during the regular season. I'm here to tell you the Indianapolis Colts have just that, a second chance this season. This is a team which has had their offensive line break down totally so far on the campaign. It affected their running game and even a change at the quarterback position. Most recently, the firing of their head coach. However, interim head coach, former center Jeff Saturday, is very well liked by the front office, the fans, and most importantly, the players. I feel he's going to bring a fresh new look, attitude, and optimism to this team this week. And what better opponent to face than the struggling Las Vegas Raiders? Guys, I know the Raiders team very well. I live here in Southern Nevada. I know the coaching staff. I know the players. I even get to watch practices from time to time. This team is not a very good team. Their head coach is one of the worst, I believe, I've seen in recent memory, making in-game decisions. Their quarterback, horrible. Guys, this isn't Fresno State. I've said it week in and week out, and Carr is not a big game NFL quarterback. They enter this week's matchup losing and failing to cover the last 2 games against teams that on paper they were better than. Listen, the rumor mill around Vegas is there's a lot of dissension in the locker room, and obviously it's very believable. Excuse me. And things are going to get worse before this team, before they even show a glimpse of getting better. As of this show, Sam Ehlinger is to remain the starting quarterback for Indy, and I believe he will have huge success in the air against the 26th ranked pass defense of Vegas. On the flip side, please understand that the Colts possess a very strong, well-balanced defense. They're ranked 13th in the league, allowing just 20.3 a game. They're ranked 6th against the pass, 11th against the rush, 5th overall in yards allowed. While the Raiders do have talent, I'm not going to argue that. They just can't get their act together, and they're not going to get it together this week. Forget about the quicksand factor, guys. Don't forget about that. What I mean by that, if anything goes wrong with this team during the game, it seems that things get significantly worse during the game thereafter. The quicksand factor for this team, I think, is relevant more than just about any other team in the NFL right now. They don't have the real leadership, a smart coach, or a quarterback that can take them down the field with authority. The road team has covered 4 consecutive meetings in the series. Indy, 18-7-1 ATS the last 26 road games versus teams with a losing home record. And guys, Vegas just 1-5 ATS the last 6 games played in November. They tend to fold like a cheap suit as the season progresses. That's why the Colts are my pick this week for the Underdog Moneyline Parlay play. I like them, guys. Let's go right into batting fourth today, the First Lady of Las Vegas. Dionne, take it away. Close us out on this segment.
Thank you. Joe, if this NFL season has shown us anything, it's that the dogs of big spreads can win outright. Just look at last week's New York Jets victory over the Buffalo Bills as an 11-point underdog. The NFL is about situations. And while the Philadelphia Eagles are very good, hence their record, but being the only undefeated team left in the NFL adds a lot of pressure to the Eagles. Let's talk about their perfect 8-0 record. They beat one of the worst defenses in history by 3 points, the Detroit Lions. They beat Kirk Cousins in primetime. They did beat the Commanders earlier, but let's put a pin in that and come back around to it later. They beat Trevor Lawrence at home. They beat the Cardinals without Hopkins. They beat Cooper Rush at home. They also beat one of the worst teams in the league in the Steelers. And then they struggled a bit against the 1-6-1 Texans. I think this team is due for a big letdown here this week, especially because they did dominate the Commanders in the late September 24-8 victory. Head coach Ron Rivera doesn't take losing lightly and is very good in revenge situations. Now, looking at Washington, they're a half a point away from covering 4 straight games. They are getting better, winning 3 of their last 4 straight up. They certainly know Philly very, very well. And at this point, although they need victories, there is a lot of pressure for them to win this one. Their defense has held 5 straight opponents to 21 or less points. To me, I just feel that the shoe is going to drop on Philadelphia. And they just might be coming into this contest a little overconfident and caught letting their guard down in this one. So to me, that's why I'm going to go ahead and take the Washington Commanders as my underdog money line play for this week's bet.
First Lady of Las Vegas showing a lot of chutzpah, as they say. Wow. And you know she's got the chutzpah. She married me. Let me go over these Underdog Moneyline parlays. Our good friend Ralph Michael says the Louisville Cardinals plus 230. Jeff Michael says the Kansas Jayhawks plus 145. Joe D says the Indianapolis Colts plus 190. Dionne D'Amico closing it out with the Washington Commanders plus $4. My friends, a $100 wager will bring you back a return of $11,623.25. And I'm putting a couple of hundred on this week. Not only like Ralph touched on the beginning of the segment, we keep getting these 3-and-1s. We're due for a 4-0, but this is 4 solid plays. And I'll tell you right now, Ralph mentioned it, Jeff mentioned it, and even Dionne mentioned it, that they're all going to bet these teams plus the points, but they like them on the money. I do too. I'm going to tell you right now, I'll put a couple of hundred on it. And when we win, we'll do the next show celebrating out. I promise you that, my friends. Don't go anywhere. We're going to go into the very exciting best bet segment. We're going to start off with Jeff Michaels. And my friend, I do a lot of content on Sports Realm TV with Jeff, and he's starting to do a lot of stuff on Wager Talk TV as well. You know why? Because when you're good, everybody wants you. And he's doing some great work in multiple sports at Sports Memo. He's going to tell you what he's been doing, what he's going to be doing on the premium side, and he's got another free best bet for you. Jeff, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Joe. Yeah, we've definitely had a hot start to the college basketball season this year. We're perfect 3-0 on the year. We've won 5 straight, and we're 10-1 in the last 11 on a 91% run dating back to last year in all my college basketball plays. Partially to thank for that guide you guys can still go check out at wt.buzz/rm at my dad's site. over there, some work that I did in it, along with some of the other guys, still free and still available while we start the college basketball season. And I do have my top play thus far posted and tonight and up for sale over at Sports Memo's site. So go check that out after the show. But as far as my best bet goes, guys, I'm going with Boise State minus the 21 big spread against Nevada. I'll kick it off with a little TNA. As my dad mentioned earlier, a home underdog of double-digit points, up to 3 touchdowns, taking on a conference opponent off an ATS win, 39, 72, and 3 against the spread since 2019. They're covering 35% of those games. So that's telling you to fade that Wolfpack this weekend. I believe this one's going to be a premium game for me as well. And I usually avoid these big line games, especially in conference play, because they can be unpredictable. But to me, this one's just a complete mismatch. I mean, Nevada's lost 7 straight games. They've only covered 1 of those. And they did manage to actually pull off the upset against Boise last season, which gives Boise a little more to fight for in this head-to-head series. Nevada's offense ranks 126th in the nation. They're being held nearly 100 yards under what opposing defenses are giving up on average. And their defense on the other side of the ball ranks below outside the top 100 as well. And those numbers seemingly get worse in conference play. They're putting up just 16 points per game in the last 4 weeks. And Boise State's been basically the complete opposite. I mean, their defense is 14th in the nation. They're holding teams 83 yards below their average. But when you look in conference play, number 1 in the country, they are holding these Mountain West Conference opponents 167 yards below their offensive average. And to put that into perspective, Nevada's only averaging 284 yards on the season, which means they could be projected to get as few as 125 yards against this defense. But Boise's offense has done it as well in conference play. They're 30th. They're putting up 72 yards more than their defenses are allowing, regardless of their caliber. And that's driven them to a 4-0-1 ATS record in conference play this year. They're winning those games by 21 points on average, and they're outgaining those opponents by over 200 yards. And not to mention, in the last 3 seasons, Boise State's 6-0 against the spread following a straight-up loss. They're putting up 36 points in those games, and they're winning by nearly 22 points too. So I'll take Boise State against this big spread, taking on the Wolfpack this weekend.
Great breakdown, great analysis from Jeff Michaels, who's a fixture on the leaderboards at Sports Memo. He said Boise State. After the show, go over to Sports Memo. Jeff is the guy you want to follow with these great customer appreciation discounts. Promise you, you're going to follow him all the way to the bank. Let's keep this train a-rolling. The First Lady of Las Vegas, who finished college football season last year at Sports Memo, number 2, all over the leaderboards in this early NHL and NBA seasons already, was great in the baseball. She is killing it in her big games in college and pro football. She's going to tell you what she's been doing, what she's going to be doing. She's going to have the free best bet winner for you. By the way, guys, I don't know if you're keeping score, but between the Family Affairs show, college and pro football forecast shows, and the First Family show, 4 months her free plays are hitting over 80%, and that's documented. Dionne, the floor is yours. Take it away.
Thank you, Joe. Guys, integrity is very important to me, and I did hit a speed bump the last few days with my premium plays, but I bounced back this weekend and get everyone paid while I redeem myself. All of my college and pro big football games for this weekend's card will be posted between this afternoon and this evening over at Sports Memo. So make sure you check out my page for all of those winning weekend winners, and also take advantage of all of those amazing discounts that we have going on over at Sports Memo. And for my best bet today, guys, it certainly has been a rough, stormy, and long season for Arizona State. Overall, they are 3-6 on the season, and in conference play are one of only 4 teams that have just 1 victory, going 1-5 against Pac-12 opponents. But I really do feel that the nail in the coffin for the Sun Devils was the last week's 50-36 loss and no cover at home at the hands of the Bruins. They just look spent, tired, frustrated, and in my opinion, the entire team can't wait for the season to be over. Washington State overall has a respectable 5-4 record and are just 1 win away from bowl eligibility. However, it has been pretty rough going for them in conference play. However, they can certainly get an easy win here this week against a lesser opponent. The Cougars are pretty darn good against the spread, covering 6 of their last 8 overall, and going back a bit, have covered 11 of the last 14 Pac-12 opponents against Pac-12 opponents. But let's put aside the fact that Washington State took last year's meeting 34-21. Let's even put aside that the fact that they're a very solid 23rd ranked scoring offense gets to go up against a less experienced quarterback in Trenton Bourget. And also, let's talk about the fact that the Cougars seem to exploit inferior foes. They took down the Rams by 31, the Golden Bears by 19, and the Cardinal by 38, winning and covering the last 3 as a favorite by a combined score of 125-30. Wow. And trust me when I tell you, the Sun Devils are an inferior foe. I look for Washington State to not just win this game, but to win it big, get their 6th win, earning them bowl eligibility, and getting them some confidence going into the last few games of the regular season against Arizona and Washington. They're 4-1 ATS the last 5 meetings at home against Arizona State, 19-7 ATS the last 26 versus teams with a losing record, and 4-0 ATS the last 4 overall at home. So go ahead and lay the points with the Cougars for my best bet today.
First Lady of Las Vegas, Dionne D'Amico, says take the Cougars. Guys, it's a great betting insights, Dionne. We really do appreciate that. She's an ideal capper for you to go over to Sports Medway after the show. Take advantage of one of those all sports packages, a 3, a 7, or a 30-day all sports discount. Tell you why, because she is contributing to college football, pro football, college basketball, pro basketball, and NHL. You'll get 5 big sports from her during that package. You'll dip your toe in that water. You'll come back for a longer stay, I promise you. My friends, I talk about Ralph Michaels quite a bit on all the shows that I am on, because you always talk about the greats. I always talk about Ralph saying, you do something once, you do it twice, you're lucky. Do it for decades, and you are one of the greats. Do it in this business, and it's a very rare occurrence. I'll tell you, I've worked with everybody over the years, in the last 20-some-odd years in Vegas. I've seen guys come and go. I've worked with the icons. Ralph is one of the best there ever was. He's going to tell you what he's been doing at Wager Talk, what he's going to be doing at Wager Talk. He's got another free best bet for you. Ralph, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Joe. As I said, and as you said, talking about 5 sports for Dionne, the All Access package is really the way to go. 3-day if you're interested in football, 7-day if not. Boy, there's, I think, 78 college basketball games today. So you're talking about NBA, NHL, college basketball, college football, and NFL. Check it out. And as Jeff mentioned, a lot of free content on my page. I do a schedule guide with the Circa Sunday lines, which you could print off for college football, the college football stat compare. On my Twitter is now the daily NBA stat sheet with the best bet. Twitter is @CalSportsLV. And that college football guide, 100 pages with conference write-ups, thanks to a lot of great guys, including my son. My homepage, wt.buzz/RM. I am going to back the Georgia Bulldogs here. And for those that say they're going to have a letdown, this is not a team that's going to have a letdown. This is a national championship team that has gone 27-1 their last 28 games. Their only loss to Alabama. And going on the road, I think, helps them. If they were a 35-point favorite at home against a foe, I might say, yes, I agree with a letdown. But remember, when you're backing good teams on the road, at home, some teams dress as many as 120 kids. So you can have your 3rd string and 4th string be in games and blowouts. When you are in a conference game on the road, you have travel limits. You take anywhere between 68 and 74 players, depending on your conference. That means you play your 1s, you play your 2s, you bring your special team guys, and you might have some 3s. You have continuity and you have better players playing in the second half of these games. And to me, this is a complete mismatch. Mississippi State, a great bully. But what happens against the 4 best opponents they play? Remember, this is Mike Leach's offense, dink and dunk. If you can tackle well, you're going to stop Mississippi State. 4 best teams Mississippi State played, 289 yards against LSU, 225 against Kentucky, 293 against Alabama, and then they had 370 against Auburn. Georgia, the #1 defense in the country. They may, by the NCAA standards, be 2 or 3, but in my book, they're #1. They're holding foes to 154 yards under their average. What does Georgia Bulldogs like to do? Well, they like to run the ball as well as pass. They're a very balanced offense. They're averaging almost 200 yards per game rushing, 5.4 yards per carry. And their defense gets a lot of the publicity. Their offense is actually number 4 in the country, averaging 130 yards per game more. Mississippi State's top 4 rush teams they faced, they allowed 206 to LSU, including 5.4 yards per carry, 241 and 5.5 to Kentucky, to Arkansas, 239, 5.0 to Kentucky, and 256, 5.6 to Auburn. Bulldogs pull away, no challenge. And you know what? I think the cowbells will actually help Georgia stay a little focused. Battle of the Bulldogs goes to Georgia, laying the 16 or 16.5.
Great stuff from Ralph Michaels, guys. You know, Ralph wasn't kidding when he told you a lot of free content on his page. Go over to Wager Talk after the show. Go over to Ralph's page. You're going to read his free content. You're going to love what you read, and you're going to come aboard for some of these great premium discount packages that Wager Talk has to offer. And like I said, do it once, do it twice, you're lucky. Do it over decades. There's a rare few. Ralph is one of them. Let me finish up the best bet segment, my friends, real quick. Since the opening day of the NBA, I know this is a kind of primarily a football show, but since the opening day of the NBA, I have been number 1 and number 2 in every major category of Sports Memo, hitting over 65%. $100 bettors are up $1,600. I have a special discount for you. 7 days NBA, $49. Use code COURT7 upon checkout, guys. And as you know, the hottest and overall football capper on the planet over recent weeks, my NFL, it just seems like I'm winning every game I put out, plus my college football big games on fire. Guys, after the show this afternoon, I'm going to be posting several big games of the month, college and pro football, later this afternoon, Friday evening. I already posted a very big game. I promise you this. I'll have a couple of 5%ers and maybe even a 10% for you posted by Friday night. As you know, my 10% plays in 2022, 17-2. If you follow me on the gridiron this weekend, I promise you, you're not just going to follow me to the bank. They're going to name you bank president. Now, for my free best bet, I am very excited about this, my friends. Let's face it, if the line in the Vikings-Bills matchup will be closer to 8 or 9, it's low due to the fact that as of this show, we are uncertain as to the status of Josh Allen. If he goes, this line's going to skyrocket. If he doesn't, then it looks like backup quarterback Case Keenum will be at the helm. And a lot of people out there are nervous about this. With all respect, I could step in and take the helm and guide this team to a victory this week. They're ranked 3rd in the league in scoring. They light up scoreboards for over 27.5 a game. They own the 3rd-ranked passing attack in the NFL. We'll put a pin in that, come back around. Even if Allen does not go and Keenum is under center, please remember he's a 10-year veteran of the NFL. He's put up some solid numbers on a couple of different teams over the years. He's not a rookie. He's not going to get nervous in there. Plus, he's got a great supporting cast. He has a receiving core so good and so deep that, trust me when I tell you, he will put up good numbers in the air here. Overall, let's not forget the fact this team is one of the better rushing teams in the league as well. So they can crutch on their ground game to keep the defense honest here, open up the passing game. But honestly, that whole point about the offense is moot. You know why? Because they're one of the best defense, the best defense in the league in scoring. They allow just 14.8 a game. They rank in the top 10 in every single defensive category. Now let's talk about the Vikings. In my opinion, luckiest team in the NFL. Now, I don't mind a little bit of luck, guys. Sometimes it beats skill. Quite often it beats skill, but their luck's going to run out this week. Let's go over a couple of things over so far this season. They needed the final 2 minutes to beat the Commanders by just 3. They beat Kyler Murray after he reportedly, and this I'm not kidding, spent the entire night without sleep playing Call of Duty. True story. All right. They beat the Dolphins with a 3rd-string quarterback. They beat the Bears by 7 when they were really struggling. They couldn't find their rhythm at all when they beat them. They needed a missed field goal to beat Andy Dalton and the Saints. They beat the Lions, which, I'm sorry, Lions fans, one of the worst defenses I've seen in years, certainly one of the worst this season. They lost to the Eagles badly and beat what now we have come to realize is a very overrated Packers team. Like I said, I think they're very lucky. No matter what they do offensively, they have to line up against a ferocious defense that knows they may have to compensate for the absence of Josh Allen here. Plus, guys, this team is horrible at defending the pass. And as I said, if Josh Allen plays, the line's going to soar, but he'll light them up in the air. And if he doesn't, Case Keenum is good enough and they are strong enough in supporting cast for him to light them up too. No, he's not as flashy as Allen or as successful, but in this system against this pass defense, he could put up some good numbers. My friends, they had insult to injury. The Bulls come off their first loss in September. They're 6-1-2 ATS the last 9 following a straight-up loss. 5-1-1 ATS the last 7 at home. 11-4-1 the last 16 in the month of November. Take Buffalo no matter who's at the helm here, but get in early just in case Allen does start and the line skyrockets. My friends, let me bring everybody back on. We're going to run down the Underdog Moneyline Parlay and the best bets, get some closing thoughts and comments from this wonderful, wonderful panel. So, our Underdog Moneyline Parlay, my friends, Ralph said the Louisville Cardinals plus 230. Jeff said the Kansas Jayhawks plus 145. Joe D said the Indianapolis Colts plus 190. Dionne says the Washington Commanders plus 400. All right, our $100 wager will bring you in $11,623.25. And I am putting a couple of hundred on this. I promise you that. Then let's go into the best bet. Jeff said Boise State Broncos minus the 21. Dionne says the Washington State Cougars minus the 8. She got two Washington teams. Ralph says Georgia Bulldogs minus 16.5. Joe says the Buffalo Bills minus 3.5. Let me go around the horn very quickly, get some closing thoughts and comments for our viewers. Firstly, of Las Vegas, Dionne D'Amico, what do you got for everyone?
Yeah, just make sure you head on over to my page over at Sports Memo later today. Pick up all of those amazing winners that I'm going to have posted for the weekend card. And I am really, really looking forward to this weekend's game, as myself and Joey will be at the Raiders-Colts game along with our good friend from Wager Talk. So we are going to have a great time this weekend, and we are looking forward to it. So make sure you head on over to Sports Memo and pick up all of my winners.
That's right. We're going to be over at the Raiders game with our good buddy
Adam Trigger.
With Adam Trigger. Now, Adam did ask me if we could all paint our bodies and run across the field at halftime. I told him no, but I don't put it past him. I love that kid. He's a great capper. Another great capper over at Wager Talk. Let's go to Jeff Michaels. Jeff, closing thoughts or comments for our viewers, please.
Yeah, guys, I've been one of the hottest in football action recently. Awesome start to college basketball, and those powers over at Sports Memo gave me a great deal that's going on too. You can use promo code SAVE50 on any of my packages over $100 and save 50%. Keep riding this college basketball trend that we've started on, or ride along for the dominance that we've had in football, or get the all access, as it's mentioned before. I've been doing 5 sports recently too. I'm on both the footballs, both the basketballs, and we got some hockey going too with a big college basketball play tonight. So 7-day, 30-day, or for the season, 50% off anything over $100 if you use code SAVE50. So go check it out, guys.
Gotta love Jeff Michaels. Let's go to Ralph Michaels. Ralph, closing thoughts and comments for our viewers.
Hold on, Joe. My invitation for Sunday must have gotten lost. I don't see it anywhere. So what the hell? Thank you, vets. Thank you for those serving. Check out all the free content. WT.buzz/RM.
Ralph, just to let you know, we got our tickets back in September. Adam told us a few weeks ago he was coming. If I get an extra ticket, I'll call you. I'll tell you that. You're always invited wherever we are. And I always got an extra room in my house. You ever want to come over for a good meal, a nice scotch in the backyard by the fireplace, you are welcome here anytime. Family's always welcome, and you're certainly family. My friends, it's about that time. We gave you enough time so you can take advantage of all the free content today on the Family Affair Show. Thank you for tuning in. We come to you every Friday morning with tons of free winners and a few surprises too. Watch out for those. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button on behalf of the family. Sports Memo and Wager Talk. Everyone out there, good luck and have a winning day.